Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my iPad. So I recently bought an iPad Pro and it has completely replaced my laptop-ish. So there's a couple of little things that we'll talk about later that I haven't been able to replace and I still have to use my desktop and laptop for. But I thought it'd be good to just talk through all the apps that I use. So something in the past that's really held iPads back is their lack of power. Like from a power and performance point of view, they've never been up there with the likes of your MacBooks and your laptops that you could buy. But the new iPad Pro actually has a ridiculous Geekbench score. I'll find them now and I'll show you them on the screen now, and I'll compare them to sort of the laptops and MacBooks from a year ago, and you'll see that performance-wise this iPad Pro is right up there, and it's got none of the bloating software that a laptop or MacBook has. And for that reason, it's performance-wise, it's actually incredible. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to this camera. I've also got my Fuji X-T2 set up looking down. And we're going to go through each of them sections. So the sections that we're going to go through today is video production, photo editing, media consumption, file management, because that's one of the places where iPads are currently lacking a little bit, and then writing apps, and then just sort of general comments as well. So to me, on making YouTube videos, one of the biggest things really is in the past struggled to use anything other than my MacBook or a laptop to edit videos. I've always used things like Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro, but what we're going to talk about today first is Luma Fusion. And Luma Fusion is ridiculous. It has an awful lot of features and it can edit 4K on an iPad with no lag. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you my previous video and how I made it on the iPad. So we'll open up Luma Fusion. And this here is my video that I made. This is the video that I made last week, and you can see that this is like a 10-minute long video. This is shot at, it's 1080p, 30 FPS, and I don't know if you can see, but the scrubbing on that is ridiculous. Like literally, as I scrub through this video, there is no lag at all, and there's transitions and stuff in there. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my MacBook sometimes lags a little bit whilst you scroll through transitions like this. You can only have 3 video tracks and 3 audio tracks, but for my sort of video making, that really doesn't matter, to be honest. I rarely have really complicated clips where I need more than that. So to me personally, that isn't a limitation, but it is something you should be aware of. And if you double click on any of this, you can actually set all sorts of colours. So it does have LUT support, but you can also edit them as you like. So you can see up and drop in the brightness there. You can change the contrast, the saturation, vibrance. So you can do all of this stuff. Change the colour, so you can have a good go here at colour grading. Also has some built-in presets, and importantly, this here is the LUTs, so you can import your own LUTs. Now, I haven't really used any of these, but I know you can set up your own and keep them as saved. But yeah, so that's LUT support. Now, something that I really appreciate is the fact that for Luma Fusion, you don't need to have a subscription. I think it was £20. I'll put the price here, just in case I got that wrong. And that's everything, including all updates, and that's it. I'm kind of against this whole subscription service thing, especially if an app doesn't get updated sort of every few weeks. Otherwise I feel like I'm being a bit ripped off and I'm not getting any more for my continually supplying companies with money. This does also have in here green screens. I have to remember what they are. So yeah, here's your green screen option, and you can change how much. So if I'm honest with you, I've not had a play with these, but you can see how it works. And okay, you obviously can't green screen a tree, but there you go, that's one good attempt at doing it. And again, even now we've put all of that stuff on there, look how quick this plays. Absolutely incredible. Now, something else as well is when you export these files, I'm not joking you, it's crazy. So upstairs on my desktop, when I render 4K video, it renders just slower than real time. This actually renders just faster than real time. Only thing I would say though is if you are doing a lot of heavy video editing, your battery life can start to drain quite quickly. So from a negative point of view, it is quite intense. So in terms of like how it looks and the design of it, it is quite in your face. Like if you're really new to video editing, this might not be the best for you. It's probably aimed at more people that have edited videos before and have a good idea of what they're looking for before going in. But yeah, you're like typical like this clip, you can cut it, you can cut a chunk off, you can delete a chunk out. It's got the magnetic settings as well. You can turn the magnetic off. Let's say between these two clips now we want to put a bit of a transition. You click the clip you want to put the transition on, how far from the start of the clip you want the transition to be, add transition, and there you go. Like honestly, it's so quick, and I can edit on my iPad now a lot quicker than I can on my laptop. Now, just that alone has meant that these YouTube videos to me are now a lot easier. All I have to do is record, stick it all on my iPad, and I can just play around with the videos all on my iPad. Now, if the £20 is a little bit too much, then one of the best alternatives for iPad really is iMovie. If you've not used it before though, it is quite basic, so settings wise it's kind of lacking, but if all you want to do is mash together a load of video clips, it's ideal. But if you want multi-track and you want to be changing the colours with a bit more, with some sort of more advanced features, then that could be a problem. And one of the other alternatives, and I haven't really used this, is Adobe Rush. So Adobe have now released their, it's kind of like a lightened down version of Premiere. And one of the really good things about Adobe Rush is that you can start on your iPad, and as long as you've got the cloud storage, you can then send it to the cloud and then continue it on your MacBook or laptop. So that's something that if you often start a project on something and want to finish it somewhere else, that's a really good option. Pricing wise for that, I'll put that here. But again, it's subscription based, which can be a little bit annoying, but if you've already got the sort of creative subscription, then I guess you've already got it, so it might be free to people that have already got that. Now, moving away from video editing, the next thing that I predominantly use my laptop for is editing photos. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what apps I use to edit on my iPad. Now, I think most people do this, and it's hands down the easiest software to use if you're used to it already, and that is Lightroom. So Lightroom on the iPad has quite a lot of features. It's basically Lightroom CC. And again, the good thing with the Adobe products is you can start on your iPad, you can finish it up on your desktop, and easily hop between the two. Now, what we'll do is I'll quickly hop onto Lightroom on here so you can see it. So this is all of my photos that are just syncing with the cloud. You can get it so it automatically uploads your iPhone photos if you want. So let's pick a photo from recently. So here you go. It all looks very familiar, so all these settings are exactly like you're used to seeing. Again, there is literally no lag with any of this. You can up and close the shadows, so you've got your colours in there, all your typical stuff. You've got your effects like you normally would, so you've got your texture, you've got your clarity, dehaze if you use that. It's pretty aggressive though. Like the amount of options this has cram packed into it is pretty much the same as Lightroom CC on your desktop. One of the things I use quite a lot, less so with film but more so, is selective edits. Gradient filter, and you can like brighten or dim the sky. It's like some people really like that. I use it all the time. And like I said, the best thing with this, as long as you've got cloud space, this syncs straight up with your desktop, so you can literally go in, see all the edits, exactly how you've had them, and then edit them on your laptop. Now, one of the good things about this, fully supports RAW files, so you can edit pretty much all RAW files on here you want. I have noticed though, I am having issues with my Canon M50 and the RAW files from that, so I don't know if that's an update or something, or that's just me being a bit of an idiot. You can sync presets, so the only thing is they have to be presets made for Adobe Lightroom CC, I believe. I don't think you can use your old Lightroom presets on here. They have to be set up specifically for Lightroom CC. Now, one of the advantages I find of editing on a iPad is iPad, and well, just Apple in general, their color reproduction is very accurate. So I spend quite a lot of the time editing on a desktop, and it's more of a gaming monitor, so the color's actually a little bit off, and then I often bring things onto my iPad and think, oh, that looks nothing like I thought it did. And knowing that the colour science on an iPad is actually pretty accurate gives you good confidence in terms of what these are going to look like when you publish them, or if you get something printed. So yeah, if you're new to the whole Adobe side of life, then the downside to Lightroom is that you do have to pay a subscription fee, which can be very frustrating. I know I don't like it, but I'm kind of already bought into the Adobe ecosystem, so for me it didn't cost anything extra, which is nice. Other negative I can find is there's no great file management. If you're somebody that loves to organise their photos, have them all in specific folders and stuff like that, it can get a little bit messy on the iPad. But that's more of a Apple locking down the iPad than Adobe failing to do their part. Now, some of the alternatives to this that I have tried some, haven't tried others, is Affinity Photo. So again, that's a nice photo editor. I think it's free. Pixelmator. So Pixelmator is actually a little bit more like Photoshop than Lightroom. So you've got like layers, you can edit things in and out. And Darkroom. So Darkroom's also an app that's free, has lots of features. The only thing with Darkroom though is if you want some of the more pro tools, then you do have to pay for some of the extra tools, which to be honest I don't think is a bad pricing model. Once you've bought them, you've bought them. And if you only want to do sort of basic photo editing, then you can, and you don't need to spend any money at all. So probably the app that I would recommend if you don't want to spend any money. Right then, so now we've done video and photo editing, the next thing to talk about is typing. So I type up lots and lots and lots of notes on my iPad, and there's a couple of apps that let you do that. Now, the one I use all the time is Bear. So we'll open up Bear now. So this is what Bear looks like. Here's my notes, literally for this video, and there's two ways of looking at these writing apps. One is, do you want bare bones just so that you can type up lots and lots of stuff? Or do you want lots of features that can help you keep track of things and basically organise your entire life? Now, I really like Bear because it's pretty bare bones, and that's probably thinking about why they've called it that. I'll show you some of the things I really like about this. So this is just a new note file. So I'll quickly just write up this title. Now, something that I really like about Bear is it has a markdown language, so you can do HH and start typing your title and you get like a header too. You can use hashtags, so you could put, I don't know, YouTube and hashtag notes. Now what this is really good for is you can search these hashtags, and in searching these hashtags you can quickly find your previous notes, so that's something that I use quite a lot. Now, like I said a minute ago, there's two ways of looking at these typing apps. One is that you just want something that you can type into really quickly and not worry about much else, so it's like a bare bones editor. And there's other ones where they're really feature intensive. Now the reason I personally use Bear is it's the first one of them. It has lots of hidden features but you can't see any of them, and you can get used to them over time. The price of Bear is about £1.50 a month. It is a subscription, or you can do a yearly fee of £14, that sort of price. Now the really good thing about Bear is that that money only goes towards syncing. So if you only use one device like I do, you don't have to pay for anything at all. Now one of the alternatives that lots of people use is Evernote. So we'll quickly hop into Evernote now. This is what Evernote looks like, and you can see straight away, feature-wise, it's far more intensive than Bear that we were looking at just a minute ago, and you can organise basically your entire life within Evernote. There's a calendar feature and all sorts of things built in. The downside I think with Evernote though is syncing and stuff like that is quite a lot more expensive. I'll put the prices on here now because I can't remember them off the top of my head. Now one of the other one is Ulysses, or I think that might be what it's called. I haven't used it, but it's a kind of somewhere in the middle between Evernote and Bear in terms of features, but I do find that it is quite expensive. It's £40 a year, or sort of £4 or £5 a month. Now to me that is very excessive for a writing app, and I don't get anywhere near £5 more than I get with Bear. I guess that's how I do my three main things in terms of writing notes, making YouTube videos, editing my photos. Now there are a few things that I haven't been able to replace. For example, shooting a lot of analog film, I haven't found a way of scanning my film. I don't think I ever will, so I think that's something I'll have to live without. But I do find myself now literally going onto my PC, scanning in all the photos, chucking them straight into the Lightroom, and then coming down and editing them on my iPad. Something else that I found that can be really quite annoying is uploading to YouTube. So when you upload to YouTube using the app, it doesn't have all the features that you have on the desktop. So even though I can create everything I want from this video now to my outputted video file, I still need to hop onto my desktop to upload it to get the features I want, like tagging and things like that. Now I find that very frustrating, and you can't upload using Safari either because that also takes you to the mobile version of the website. So that's something that currently frustrates me. It looks like iPadOS is fixing that by having a full-featured desktop browser on the iPad, and that would be great. That would completely remove my need for the desktop at all in my YouTube making process. And I think one of the biggest problems with iPad is its current file structure. Like, you cannot really organise your files that well at all. The current Files app is next to useless. You can't use hard drives, but again that looks like it's being fixed in iPadOS. So iPadOS, I think, for a lot of people will actually bridge the gap that people still felt they had, even if they've tried doing this kind of process before, moving from a desktop laptop situation to an iPad. My general thoughts on my iPad, because it has completely changed how I've done everything. I feel like Now, using the iPad to me sometimes feels like it's just completely different to my job purely because of how I'm doing it. So I spend all day on a desktop computer, literally from 7 till half 3 in the day. And then when I get home and I'm going onto my computer again to edit a video, I do sometimes feel it feels the same, but having an iPad as well, it kind of just breaks up the two bits of work. It kind of feels like the desktop stays at work and my iPad is for at home. Now, something that I have found interesting is that when I've tried to do this in the past, everything I did on the iPad was a compromise. I could do it quicker on a laptop. I was just using an iPad because it was more accessible. Genuinely now, some of the apps, especially like Luma Fusion, I am genuinely quicker and better off on my iPad. And to be honest, I just love using an iPad. It's always there, you can pick it up, it's quite casual. So I found myself video editing just odds and sods throughout the day. Now with my desktop I find I just have to sit and do it all. So another thing is as well that you can use an iPad whilst being around other people. So sometimes in the evenings, rather than disappearing off upstairs and editing a video, I'm still sat involved with everybody else. I'd be interested to know if anybody else has tried this. Have you tried moving from a desktop solution or a laptop solution to an iPad? Is there anything that you did that you struggled with? Is there anything that just said, no, I can't do this? Or have you done it? Were you successful? Is there still things you feel are a compromise? I'd be interested to know what you guys think, because honestly it's changed how I do my work. And something else as well, I'm still learning how to do this, so I quite often find that I'll find something that I am still compromising on. You just do a bit of a search and somebody else has already found the solution. So yeah. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video on how I've moved from my desktop to my iPad, please give this video a like and please subscribe. If you've got any questions, please leave them below. But guys, yeah, again, thank you for watching.